What's up, you guys? Hey, episode number 15 of the Chazway podcast. I'm super excited you're here to join us today. It is another fabulous week. God is good. It's so awesome to have another really cool guest. This one is kind of not strange, but bizarre. I was like preparing this week and my son Braxton's like, so who are you interviewing? I'm like, this super cool girl off Instagram. And he's like, what? And my son's an Instagrammer too, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, man, it's a girl I follow and I think she's super awesome. And I'm just excited to like hear more about her. So just so you guys know, this is Kaylee Fisher. Kaylee is in Texas. I'll tell you more about her in a second. But what I want you guys to know is like, so just based on the networking world, which is, as you guys know, a world that I love. We get to network, right? That's why it's called networking, right? And so I actually found Kaylee I'm pretty sure it was through Ray Higdon's group, who's like a networking guru, who's a very incredible man. And then so like just ended up finding her on Instagram and loved what she had to say. And so I followed your story, Kaylee, and then now I just continue to follow you. And so I don't even like really do anything with Ray Higdon anymore, but I still love to follow you. And I was like, I have to have her on the podcast. So I think I actually messaged you like a few weeks ago. And I was like, hey, I know this is weird, but would you do my podcast? And I was super fortunate that you said yes. So welcome to the show. It's Kaylee Fisher, and she's from Texas, and she's a mom and she's a wife, and she loves her family and she loves the gym. And let me tell you what else she loves, you guys, and I'll let her tell you more about her. She loves to do whatever the hell she wants on Instagram. Okay, so there's your setup. Kaylee, take it away. Tell us about you.
Thank you so much for having me. I was actually really excited when I got your message to be interviewed by you. So thank you. I'm so excited. It's just really, really honored. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I am Kaylee. I am 28, even though I always try to make myself 29, just to kind of like tell you a little bit about me. I scheduled this whole like week-long Bahamas trip for me and my family, and it was going to be through my birthday, and I was so excited, and I was telling my husband like, yes, I'm going to turn 30 in the Bahamas. He was like, next year you're gonna I was like, no, this year. He was like, no.
Right. Not so much.
Not really. So I always make myself older and him younger. He's been 31 for the last 3 years. So
okay.
And it aggravates him, I think. But just to let you know, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to details like that. But I am 28. I am a mother of one 4-year-old, Max. We named him after Greg Maddux. Huge Brave fans. Go Braves. And I'm married to Mason. He's absolutely amazing. I wouldn't be where I am without him being so supportive and like just allowing me to run with all of my crazy whims. I am an entrepreneur. I help people in the area of mindset, manifestation, spiritual alignment, emotional release, things like that, all of the things that come in that spiritual woo-woo world. I got involved in that because I was introduced to personal development when I drank the network marketing Kool-Aid. Yes, I was in network marketing for years and did okay, actually did pretty good, but saw that there was more, and I just wanted more and wanted to feel more aligned and learn how to do a lot of coaching and assisting and helping through my own journey. And so that's what I do now is I help people have the breakthroughs that I had. And I have transformed everything in my life from, my financial well-being to what my physical body looks like, to where I am spiritually and how I show up as a mother and as a wife. And so that's a little bit about me. I am originally from Georgia. I moved to Texas, to my husband's hometown, Mont Belvieu, Texas. We are like 30 minutes east of Houston. Don't come stalk me here. It's very small. You will find me very fast. We moved here 3 years ago, and I'm never going back to Georgia. Sorry, fam. I will be in Texas forever and ever. Yeah, so that's me.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so it sounds like you love Texas. Why not Georgia? Like, you're just because you love Texas?
I love Texas, and I can't say that Georgia is terrible, but when you come to a place like Texas, and where we live in Texas, there's a lot of industry. So we live right on the water. We live right on, like, where these big ships can come in and get product and go back out. And so there's a lot of natural gas. There's a lot of taking crude oil and turning it into different things. So everybody here has the opportunity to have a really good job. And I'm not saying, like a really good job where you make $75,000 a year, but like a really good job where you're making $125,000 a year, multiple weeks of vacation, these huge corporate plants that really care about you know, their employees' mental health and things like that. And so
Wow.
there's just a lot of opportunity here. And when you go from living somewhere like Macon, Georgia, where I was, where the only industry was hospitality industry, there were not really any plants. You're not close to any water. And if you weren't a doctor or a lawyer, you worked for one.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the Air Force Base and things like that. And we just, there, at one point, Brown and Williamson was there, but they left. But the only thing they really have is Geico, which is the insurance company. And it's hard. It's hard to be around that much struggle and strife. And you may think that I'm full of shit for saying this, but I don't care. When you're in place with no, like hardly any opportunity, crime rates are higher,
Mm-hmm.
And so when I lived in Georgia, it was not uncommon for my car to be broken into once a month.
Wow.
Like, I can't tell you. And we were on the nice side of Macon, like on the north side. You know what I'm saying? But,
Yeah.
you know, criminals can get to the wrong side,
Yeah. They can still drive.
they can still drive, right? And so when my husband first moved there, it was funny, like his truck got broken into for the first time. And he was like, they got my bag. I was like, why did you leave your bag in the car? Why was your bag? Nobody ever messes with my truck. I'm like, oh, baby, welcome to Georgia, honey. Because
Yeah.
they know if they look in your back door and they see something, they're going to find, or your back window and they see something, they're going to find a way to get it. And so, we went from a place where a lot of people struggled and it's hard to like generate success to where we live now. People are happier, people are nicer, they have more opportunity, they have better jobs. And it's funny, because I'm one of the only working moms around here. Like, it's so normal for women to stay home and raise their kids, and that's totally fine.
Mhm.
And even my husband is like, if you never want to work again, you don't have to. I'm like, no, I'm good. I like
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
like the extra money. I like the
Yeah.
stuff that we're able to do, but there's just way more opportunity here. And I will never take my kids from this place.
Mm. I think that's so awesome. I think that, and it is so crazy because I feel like, not to be weird, but I feel like you're paint. Actually, let me take that back. I'm totally not apologizing for saying what I'm going to say. It's not weird. Like, I feel like you're painting a picture right now. Like, I feel like what you're saying is really a great picture for people. Like, that should be something that some of us strive to be around. Like, you talk about like the potential income in that area, and the reality is like a lot of people are working every single day of their life to just barely get by. And that is mentally straining, physically straining. But the other thing that is like, I'm a huge believer you're a product of what you surround yourself with. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Right. And so if that's all you're surrounded by, everybody, like, listen, if you're in Macon, Georgia, and everybody around you's barely surviving, like, is there a possibility that you're having an entrepreneur conversation? No.
So
No, because everybody around you is barely surviving, right? So if you're around an area that people are thriving to whatever that looks like, even if it's moms that are happier because they are at home and they get to be the most hands-on moms ever, and even that is uplifting, right? So I love the picture that's painting. And listen, that's not to discourage the people that are living every single day just trying to get by. That's okay. However, if you know me, you know what's coming next. And that is the fact that you do not have to live the average life every day of your life. Like, you can totally change. You don't have to go live where Kaylee lives to do it, but you can look at your surroundings and you can stretch your way out of that. Or you can find, because of this great world we live in now, even if it's not physically, it can remotely be out of that. Even if your physical, area is confined to those things that you're mentioning, like example of Macon, Georgia. You can still go find those avenues outside of that, whether it's finding remote jobs or remote opportunities or remote networks that can help uplift you into things that are going to help you thrive into a higher bracket. And I don't just mean financially, I mean even just mentally, right? So on that note, let's segue over to that. You talked about mindset, man. You didn't talk about manifestation yet, but I know that's a huge one for you. Mindset, spirituality. Where did that stem from for you? I'm going to assume it comes from when you talked about in network marketing, you were introduced to personal development. I will tell you this real quick, and then I want to hear your thoughts. One of the biggest things I'm grateful for in network marketing, which I no longer do either, is the introduction to personal development. I've always been a positive person. I've always loved Jesus. I've always loved to be happy. I've always considered myself a glass half full person. But I was introduced to the words that I've never heard, which are personal development. I was introduced to reading, which I've never done. Not that I've never picked up a book, but I definitely never have for fun, right? And that changed my life. It still does to this day. I read virtually daily because I want to, you know. So I am so grateful for that. Personal development came to me because of the network marketing industry. Is that what happened for you, and is that why you've kind of pursued that?
Yeah, for sure. And as you were saying something about like when you're in a place like Macon, Georgia, and you're around those things, it kind of like sucks the life out of you. So I watched my husband move to Macon and be somebody that was like financially free, did whatever. And then somehow we wound up in this place where we were like very paycheck to paycheck,
Wow.
which was crazy. And then we moved out of Macon and it was like, like, oh, actually, we're way, way better off. Anyways, but it's so true. Like, it was a suck hole. So if you're somewhere that
So
you
you
feel,
literally went through exactly that.
yes, we went from like, oh, let's travel, let's do this, let's do that, to all of a sudden, like, holy fuck, like, how did we get in this place where
Yeah.
we have no money and we're living paycheck to paycheck? And so that's really why I got involved in network marketing to begin with, because I was at home with a 3-month-old. And it was the only thing. Like, I went to school to be a teacher, but I was not okay with putting my 3-month-old in daycare. If you put your 3-month-old in daycare, you do it, honey. You do it. I make the joke now that I work really hard to make enough money to pay for daycare so that I can send my child away. But as a first time mom, you have all these fears about like daycares and things like that. But anyways, so it was the only thing I could do while stayed at home with my son. And I got introduced to personal development. And looking back now, I think that a lot of network marketers are introduced to personal development because it's a difficult industry,
Mhm.
right? And they have to give you something to pump you up. Like, you definitely have to have that good energy. You have to have a positive mindset and you have to be very strong willed. And I think personal development really does that. It does help you see things differently. Um, and it feeds your mind with positivity, right? And so that helps you overcome those tough days that come when you are in network marketing and you feel
Mhm.
like you're grinding it out with no end in sight. And so I got introduced, and I will never forget the first like bit of personal development I ever did was because I was going through some one-on-one coaching for network marketing, and I just broke down and cried, and I was like, I am working my fucking ass off. I am trying my hardest. I've made this investment with money that we did not have. I feel
Mhm.
like I've wasted my husband's money. I am really struggling. And my coach was like, look, check this out. Like, just go on to YouTube and type in personal development. Like, just whatever you find will be perfect.
Yeah.
And so I started doing personal development. And I even went through like a 2-month phase where I would not listen to music unless it was Christian music. I would not watch TV, and I would not read unless it was personal development. And I constantly had personal development going on in the background.
Hmm.
And my life radically changed,
Hmm.
like in a matter of months.
Yeah.
An opportunity that we wanted to move came up instantly. I went from never enrolling people in my business to enrolling like 20 people a month in my business. And this isn't a pitch for network marketing because
Sure.
I have moved on, but just like some of the tangible things that I saw happen, like Um, we were getting like back pay on things that we didn't know that we had overpaid on, and like, things just radically started getting better really, really quickly.
Mhm.
And that's when I caught on, like, holy shit, this is for real.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't fake. Like, change your mind and change your perception, change your life, change your beliefs, change your life, change your energy, change your reality. And I just knew that I had to go deeper. And the deeper I went and the more I watched my physical reality change and continue to get proof that how we grow as a human, mentally and spiritually, definitely shapes our tangible reality.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, I listen to all of these different people, you know, say the same things. And I realize that they're saying the same things, but they're all saying it in different ways. And there are some concepts that I need to hear from this person because they say this in a way that makes sense to me, but there are some concepts that I need to hear from this person because they say this in a way that makes sense to me.
Mhm.
And I just felt this like pull in my heart saying, like, you're going to say things in a way that makes sense to people. Like, you need to say it in a way because there are people out there that need to hear the way that you say it, because I'm not someone that is, I don't even, I'm not going to say educated because I am educated. I went to college, I have a degree, but I'm not someone that's going to be like prim and proper and the best spoken person you've ever heard. I cuss a lot. I don't give a shit. You know, I'm real and raw and available to give full transparency, where I realize some people in that sector aren't, but for good reasons, right? Because they're going to speak to the people that also feel aligned with them, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Absolutely. I just want to say, like, I love what you're saying about like hearing the things you need to hear from the right people. It's crazy. Like in my experience in network marketing, and I mean, honestly, I guess just because it's relatable to me, I throw back to saying like, well, in network marketing, because it's relatable to me. But
Right.
in anything in life, it's you can relate it to church. Like you know how like you could go to church, for example, and you could hear a message maybe from a pastor, and it might not like resonate with you, it may not hit home, but then maybe you hear the same message who knows how 5 years down the line from in a different space from a different pastor, or you could hear it doesn't wherever the situation may be, and it sits different, it hits different. I remember when I was in in network marketing, my mentor, my leader at the time, like she said things so many times to me that never hit home. It probably frustrated her so much because I never acted on them. And I remember there was this one thing that probably 3 years after she had said so many times, and I heard it at an event. We were both at this huge event, and somebody else said it from the stage. And I remember afterwards, I'm like, Mandy, you are not going to believe it. And she's like, Chaz, I've been telling you this for years. I'm like, I know. No offense. I had to hear it from that guy.
Yeah.
I had to hear it from that guy. And I believe, I'm getting chills right now. I believe that that's why you're in the certain place at the certain time, because you do need to hear things from certain people. And so just to really like circle back to you saying that, like it's so true. You do sometimes the right thing falls on the right ears at the right time, and it has to be from the right person, you know. So interesting. That's really interesting. That's awesome. Okay, so why did you choose to take it a level further? Because you allowed yourself to grow from it. You were educated. You engaged, and you allowed yourself to like receive all of that wonderful personal development. Why did you choose to go a step further and give back?
I'm not gonna cry. Because I think about the
I
girl
dare you.
because I think about the girl that I was when I needed it.
Mm,
And if I had had, and I think about my sister all the time. we have the same vernacular, we have the same accent, we talk in the same manner, you know, of course, she's my sister. We grew up in the same exact household. And she just gets me and gets
Mm.
through to me. And you look at all of these personal development gurus that speak on stages and they are like accent free, they are so perfectly manicured, they are, and I know that that is by design because they are usually selling from stages, they are usually, promoting something, and so you
Mm.
want to say things in a certain way, and you do want to be relatable to a larger audience. But I know that the girl that I was is a large audience,
Mm.
and I wanted to be the person that she needed. The one that does have the accent, the one that doesn't mind cussing, the one that can be, without makeup. I'm covered in tattoos. You don't see many Kaylee Fishers jumping up on stage giving you this talk about a spiritual alignment.
Mm.
They're all usually like very manicured,
Mm.
and clean cut and well put together. And my first brand ever was Hot Mess Marketing Mama because I knew that I was trying to speak to that group that was a hot mess.
Mm.
Eventually, I had to change it because then I was putting out too many hot mess fires.
Mm.
But, you know, I still think about her like the girl that's just looking for something and someone that she could say, you know what, I can kind of see me being her.
Mm.
Because even as I was going through all that personal development, like I couldn't see myself being Brene Brown. I couldn't see
Yeah.
myself being Rachel Hollis. I couldn't see myself being Tony Robbins. I couldn't see myself being all these people. They're amazing, they're great, they're wonderful, they provide so much value, but I didn't see myself in them. And so I wanted to be someone that people were like, oh, she's, I can see myself in her
Yeah.
and have that level of believability in me because I want to be able to sit down with you
Mm.
like we're grabbing a beer at the bar, or if you don't drink, grabbing coffee or
Yeah.
eating food together and just like chopping it up about life.
Yeah, and I think that's because you're supposed to be you. And I don't know why, but it makes me emotional talking about it because like because you're supposed to be Kaylee Fisher.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be Brene. You're not supposed to be Rachel or Tony because there's already those people. Like
Right.
one of the greatest, I don't know why this makes me so emotional, but and I haven't thought about this in probably 2 years. So in 2016 is when I started in network marketing and I went to my first event. I was 35 pounds down. Mind you, the first 35 pounds, I was like, loved the product, was absolutely never going to go to any kind of meeting or anything like that. I went to my first meeting that I was never going to go to. And it was a weight loss thing. And I was sitting next to the only person in the room of probably 600 people. The only person I knew was somebody I knew from the past, and they were sitting next to me. And at this particular event, they're like, if you've lost blah, 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 like come across the stage. I was 35 pounds down and I crossed that stage. And they said, if you've lost if you've lost 30 to 50 pounds, come across the stage. And I was like, I didn't move. And my friend nudged me. She said, you've lost 35 pounds. I said, yeah, I don't know anybody here. I'm not crossing the stage. And she looked at me and she said, what if somebody in this audience needs to see you cross that stage? What if somebody is just like you and needs to see you? What if they need to see Chaz cross that stage because they're a Chaz?
Yeah.
And it was that moment that I was like, and that's 2016. And I was like, dang, that's so true. And I still to this day think about it. I think about, and that's why I'm so vulnerable on social media, because I'm like, there are people that need a Chaz. There are people that need me to be vulnerable and say, hey, I'm thinking about weight loss surgery, or hey, I really had a crappy day, or hey, this journey's not easy, and they need a Kaylee Fisher. They need you to be you. And so I love that. And I'm not to really make a big deal out of that, but I'm so glad that you chose to go that route and you were willing to stand up for the people in this world that do need that. Because here's the thing about that, Kaylee, is that's relatable. See, a lot of people don't speak the language of that. You use the word well manicured, right? And we're like super real, flawed, normal people.
Yeah.
We don't speak that language now because we're personally developed. We probably speak more of that manicured language now than we did 4, 5, 6 years ago, but we didn't on day one. we resonated way more with the flawed normal person. But I would say the majority, would you agree, the majority of people resonate more with a quote unquote, and I'm using normal very loosely, but with a normal flawed human, somebody that gets up with some tattoos, cusses a little bit, and isn't perfect, and gets up and says, hey, here's my story, here's who I am, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think, I mean, if you're talking about how do you impact the masses, you be normal.
Yeah. Be normal.
So mhm.
And another thing too is I didn't want to be someone that someone was afraid to ask questions.
Mhm.
Like if I say something and it intrigues you or you want to challenge my thinking, ask me.
Mhm.
I don't want to be like, I would never in a million years, if Tony Robbins said something, send him an email and be like, this is what I think about this. Like, or I have a question about this. You said this and I don't totally understand it. Or, and I want to be that person. If you think that what I'm saying, like, if you have something to say about it, tell me,
Mhm.
and if you are this person that's so amazing and, so just like unrelatable in the sense that you don't share your flaws,
Mhm.
you're never going to have that opportunity to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And, not talking about like, oh, I want an opportunity to talk to someone to sell something. Cause I'm at a point in my business where like I have so many clients, I can't even sell you anything if I wanted to. Like I just have, I can't sell you anything if I wanted to. I have no room on my schedule for that. But I want to have those conversations because number one, it's going to let me know like what are people struggling with? Because if Chaz comes to me and says, you know, hey, I saw this thing where you said this about manifestation, and this is where I'm struggling with it, there's going to be 100 more of him.
Mhm.
And if I can just get one, that's like a whole nother thing for me to create value about and to put out there so that I can reach him. But if you're this person that's so perfect and untouchable and, unrelatable, you're never going to get to meet that Chaz or that Kaylee I was in 2018 or, whoever it is that wants to come forth with their question or their problem.
Mhm. Oh, I think you absolutely nailed it. That's 100% the truth. And that to me is how you make a massive impact on the world and on a community of normal people, who are worthy of great things,
Yeah.
is by really being able to be tangible, to be touchable, to be able to communicate. I think that's so true. So manifestation, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, you're kind of hitting on that in a roundabout way, but let's dig deeper for people that maybe don't even know what that means. If I had the dictionary pulled out right now, I would you probably already have it in your mind, the exact terminology, but what does manifestation mean? If you were going to explain it to the listener or the viewer right now, let's first just talk about what it means and then let's dive deeper.
So manifestation is the practice of taking something that's intangible in your mind, like a desire, and creating it into a tangible thing in your real life, like the realization of a desire.
Mhm.
That's like the most simple way that I can put manifestation. And so, like, if you've ever heard of the law of attraction, this is really the most relatable law as it pertains to manifestation, but there's actually 12 universal laws
Okay.
um, that all go into this and, aligning and things like that. And so that's basically what it is. It's taking something in your mind and experiencing it as a real, tangible, touchable, feelable, drivable, experienceable, tastable, smellable thing in the world.
Mhm. Great definition. So, in 2020 March, so probably 2 weeks after COVID, I have a friend who was also in the industry that I was in, and she was like, have you ever written down like your ideal client, like your team member? It wasn't client, it was team member. She's like, have you ever written down like what does your ideal team member look like? And I was like, I've never written down. Like I'm like we're on the same level in the marketing plan. Okay, her and I, like we had like kind of grew up in the business together, and we always like would throw ideas off each other. And she's like, have you ever like written down your ideal like team member? And I'm like, no, like I think about it all the time. I've never put it on paper. And so I wrote down like 20 things, literally 20, of like what was important to me in a team member, and who I wanted to attract. And I'll keep this brief, but I will say that 2020 became the year of COVID. The year that so many people gave up on life was the biggest year in business I ever had. Ever had. I came from in the space that I was in, we had brick and mortar locations. I stepped out of brick and mortar locations and made more money from my living room, from my cell phone. I mean, I grew the most the year that a lot of people gave up, and I chose not to do that. Blinders on, straight and narrow, focused, remain neutral, calm and confident, right? And that's what I chose to do. And it was because I believed, and I just want to speak on that manifestation piece for a minute. And that was, I wrote it down. I put it on paper. What does my ideal person look like? Who do I want to attract? Who do I want to be around? And then I went to work and created that same, for the most part. Like, let's be honest, it wasn't cookie cutter. They weren't all exactly that thing, but a lot of similarity, right? And it's because you made it real, because you made it a real thing, just like you said in your definition. And so I'm excited to hear more of what you have to say about it. But I just want to say, for my testimony, it absolutely changed a lot. And on that note, I also wrote down, what is my ideal, like, what do the people I want in my life look like? And there was 20 on that list. And my girlfriend, Anna, literally, it has 16 of those 20 qualities, who I did not know her then. And so after I put that on paper, within a few months, we very randomly, in the weirdest way ever, met. And it's really crazy that the relationship I was not looking for is now a thing. And the things I was looking for that I had no idea I would find, I have found. Now, there will be a lot of people that listen and watch this that aren't quite there yet, that will think that's really crazy. And I would challenge everyone that if this sounds anything but normal to you, it means this is meant for you. And so I would encourage you to dive deeper into this conversation and really listen in, and really work on maybe opening up your mind to some possibilities, because this is real stuff. This isn't weird, like this isn't like weird woo-woo stuff. This is just real stuff. And really, it's just simply being open to making things possible, so.
And so, like, there are actual government documents where they have done studies on subjects that prove that this stuff is real. And so it's really strange. And it's funny that you bring up your girlfriend. And I just want you guys to know, we're always manifesting things and pulling into our life, whether we are doing it intentionally or not. It's always consciously, but intentionally or not. So an example of this is, I have manifested Mason long before I'd ever known what manifestation was. So I just say, like, I'll be anecdotal today. I'm a child of divorce. And then I watched both of my parents remarry, and my step parents are great, but I've never, like, sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this, but I've never really seen my parents in a super happy marriage. Even now, they're still married to the same people, and they, like, anyways. So my whole thing is I'm never getting married ever, but just so I know if this is the person for me, I'm going to set really stringent qualifications for the person that I will marry. And even if I marry, I'm never having kids. I don't want kids, whatever. But if I meet somebody that meets these requirements, this is the only way I will marry somebody. They have to be taller than 6'2". They have to have dark hair. They have to have green eyes. They have to be just as smart as I am. I was valedictorian, graduated college with honors. And they have to be more athletic than I am. I'm a retired college athlete. So I was like, I haven't met one, And so I put out these really stringent rules because, and it's funny to think about it now, I'm only going to marry and have kids if they're a breeder. Like, are we going to put out athletic, smart kids? Which is so funny to think about, that even at like age 16, 17, I was like, this is the only way I'm having kids.
Yeah.
So this is in high school. And I talked about this often because I was watching my girlfriends like be in these relationships, like, oh, I'm gonna get married to him. I love him so much. And I'm like, I'm dating this guy, but we're never getting married.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, who do you want to marry? And so I told this story over and over. Over 6'2", dark hair, has to have green eyes, not white eyes, green eyes, smarter than I am and more athletic than I am. I'm in Macon, Georgia. I had lived on the West Coast for 2 years, never met anybody that met this criteria. Moved back to Macon to finish out school. I am bartending. And one December day, this guy walks into my bar and he's huge. And he's got the darkest hair I've ever seen. And he's got green eyes. And I didn't know if he was smart or athletic yet. Come to find out, the day I met Mason, I was the first person he met in Georgia after getting off the plane. Got off the plane. His friend was like, let's go grab lunch at this place that the guys usually go grab lunch at. And I'm the first person he meets. And
That's
so
not on accident.
It's not on accident, but it just goes to show like you're manifesting all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew that this was going to be the only person I married, and those were all materialistic things, but he is he's the most perfect man ever. I love him so much. All men are trash except for him and you, Chaz.
Thank you. I'm like, wait, I've got some qualities.
No, before Mason, I was definitely, what is it? A
man hater.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was definitely me. I was like, oh, men are trash.
Yeah.
So manifesting all the time. And he actually is a million times smarter than I am.
Wow.
You ever talk to anybody with like an engineer's brain?
Yes. And they talk over me, to be honest with you. That's like over my head.
That's my husband.
Wow.
And he was actually way more athletic than I ever was. He was offered dual sport scholarships.
Wow.
Yes. So anyways, he's amazing. I love him so much, but we're manifesting all the time. And so like one way that you can see this work in your life is, have you ever thought about someone that you haven't talked to in a while, and then like that day or the next they send you a text or they call you and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. And it's because you thought about that person with enough emotion, but also like zero resistant, like you weren't attached to them calling you, and you weren't attached to whether they text you or not. You just thought about them, brought up an emotion, and moved on about your day, and then it pops up. And that's how we manifest things. And that's how I manifested Mason, because I had said this so many times that it had become a joke to me. And I was just kind of like, haha. And when I met him, I did not want a boyfriend. I was like having the time of my life. And so, I thought about it enough with emotion, but with no resistance to it. Like I had no attachment to whether it would happen or not. And so I think that where people really get caught up in manifestation is they're only trying to manifest things that they want really, 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 really badly. When you're playing, and it should be played like a game, when you're playing with manifestation, you should throw some things in that you do not give one single shit about. Like, throw in something funny that doesn't matter, just to watch how the universe answers. And that allows you to get to that place of detachment. Because when I first started with manifestation, my biggest problem was like I was only focusing on things that I really wanted and really thought I needed in my life. And when you think about manifestation and creating things, it's like a match of energy. So that thing that you want holds a certain vibration. I mean, everything, you learn this in like third grade science, everything is made of energy, right? When it's a gas, the molecules are shaking in way bigger areas, way slower. When it's a liquid, they're shaking in a little bit smaller area and a little bit faster. When it's a solid, they're shaking very closely together and very fast, right? So everything's made of energy. And so when you're thinking about manifestation, it's really just this game of deciding what I want and matching the energy of it. And you have to play it like a game. And the way that you play it like a game is you kind of put an energy out there and you see what it brings about. Like, okay, I'm putting this energy out there. I have the shittiest relationships. I am broke. I hate my job. I'm this, that, and the other. And you're like, okay, so let's change it. Let's increase it. Let's do this. And so one of the people give practices like in exercises to help you increase your energy. And that's all they are. It's just an increase of energy, because when you're jotting things down, you're consciously thinking about something with emotion, but you're just making a list. So in that moment, you're not addicted to whether that thing just forms right then. And let me ask you this. When you wrote the list of your potential clients, that like what their personality traits were, did you obsess over the list?
No. I
Did you
mean,
kind of like toss it in a drawer somewhere?
yeah, I thought it, I wrote it, and I set it down. I put it to the side.
And that was it. Like I thought about something with enough emotion to match it energetically, and I let it go.
Mhm.
The same like with your list of people that you wanted. Did you write it on the list and tack it to your wall and stare at it every day?
I didn't.
You wrote it down and you tossed it somewhere and went on about your life.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what manifestation is. And so like I have some of my vision boards on the wall, but they're there as a reminder of like who the fuck I am,
Mhm.
not as a reminder of what I should be desiring,
Yeah,
you know?
I do know. I think that's yeah, I feel like I could go on a tangent about that. I'm going to choose not to, but I think that's a really important thing, is to remember like the things that you like. It's a vision board, for example. I think that's an awesome thing to have. I think it's an awesome thing to have some goals, to have some desires, and to be like, I am the girl that drives that car. I am the girl that changes these lives. I am the girl that has this in my bank account. I am a rock star. I am whatever Kaylee wants to be. Whoever you choose to be is exactly who you are. I believe that. I say all the time, you're created with purpose, on purpose. Like, you are worthy of great things. So
Yeah.
you are whatever you want to be is who you are, right?
Yeah.
And personally, I believe you leave it at that. I think as soon as
Yes.
you start to obsess over that, that is where imposter syndrome kicks in. I think that's also where I think that's also where you start, where comparison starts to set in. So for me, it's a really fine line. A lot of people will disagree with that. That's okay. But I think you got to be really careful if you teach this to people, like with with vision boards, for example. I think that's just something you got to be really careful with, because it's really easy to do more damage than good. And
Good.
what you just said is like, I have this as a reminder of who I am. You like that. You didn't say like, I have this to look at every day and like bang my head against the wall because someday I want to be her. No, like, this is who I am. You are already rocking in that person.
Yeah, of course. And
Period. Though. Stop that. Period. This is who I am. You'll fulfill that.
right. And I have no timeline,
Yeah.
because I'm already that,
Yes.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, and so a lot of people disagree with me on this. I tell people to set goals, but do not put them on a timeline. And for please, please do not try to reverse engineer them. So like, okay, here's my goal of I want to do this by 2025, but I need to achieve this by this date, and 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 I need to do this, and this to get here. Number one, your brain and your imagination is not broad enough to know who you need to talk to and exactly what you need to do to get where.
Mhm.
Like, you are going to have people breeze into your life that change things on a fucking dime. Like, skirt, hold on. I thought I was going in this direction, but I just had this conversation with Chaz, or I just heard Chaz's podcast, and I actually realized that this is not the vehicle. This thing is the vehicle, and you'll know because you'll feel it in your heart. And it won't be like this fleeting thought. A lot of times, especially with people that are entrepreneurial, they have fleeting thoughts. Like, they become obsessed with this thought and it may last a week. This thing will be like a persistent nudge. Like, hey, just want to remind you about this thing. Hey, just want to
Yeah.
remind you about this thing. Hey, just want to remind you about this thing. And then you'll have people bring up the thing. And then you'll have other people bring up the thing. And you'll have
Mm.
other people bring up the thing. And your husband will bring up the thing. And, and then you're like, oh, yeah, this really is the thing. And if that thing is not on your reverse engineering of your goals, you'll discount it. This is
Mm.
not on the plan. This is not on the plan. And
Mm.
the other thing is the first time you miss one deadline, you're like, fuck it, it's over. I can't do it. I'm done. I'm giving it up. And that's stressful. And timelines do create that obsession. You
Mhm.
know, I'm obsessed with achieving this by this date. And you can't have that. You can't have that obsession. And I know I'm kind of like ranting and raving, but I'm not gonna stop myself like you
Be
do.
real. Yeah.
The way that I think about it is like dating. So when you're thinking about being an energetic match for things, think about that thing as like a potential date. And you can almost tell, maybe not on the first date, but I would say within the first 3 dates, if someone is gonna be a match for you or not.
Mm.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you definitely see there's potential or not.
And so if you are going on your first few dates with someone and they are texting you all the time and on the dates they are just like, you're the most amazing thing ever. I don't think I can live my life without you. You're so wonderful. When can we start dating? When can we make this official? What do you think our future is going to be like together? How do I have to have you in my life? Like, and they're calling you and they're texting you and I need you and I want you and da 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 da. Da. It may feel good for like a day or two, but generally you're going to be like, no thanks. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. They are not a match for you.
Mhm.
And so think about yourself in terms of that thing that you're desiring. Are you acting in the same energy? When are you going to show up? When are we going to be together? When do I get to drive you and ride in you and hold you and da 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 da? What do I need to do to have you in my life? Whereas if you're dating someone and you're on the third date and it's just fun and it's kind of like a game and you don't know every single thing about them, but you also don't feel the need to,
Mhm.
that's how it is, because you don't need to know how this thing is going to show up in your life. You don't need to know when this thing is going to show up in your life. You don't need to know how long it's going to be in your life. You don't need to know if y'all are going to be married forever and ever, or if it's going to be like this fleeting thing. You don't need to know all of that. You just need to know, like, this is what I want, and I know I can have it. And now I'm going to do the things that I need to do to be the person that
Right.
has that.
For sure. So just because we both come from a similar industry, it's really interesting when you just said that, because I was like, do you ever talk about ignorance on fire?
Have I
So
open?
like
Not openly.
like so it's funny because you're like first 3 dates in a relationship, like that you're interested in that person and they're interested in you and you're just like rolling with it and it's fun and it's working. Like I call that organic, right? I always use the word organic. I don't even know the right verbiage, what
Organic
that
is
really means.
organic is right, because you even think about advertising. Organic is the word for that too.
It
Like,
just flows.
yeah,
Yeah. And so like I think about when I was like new to that industry and I was like, I didn't know all the details about everything. I just knew like what it did for me, right? Or like even my testimony was just real. Like I don't really know how this stuff works. I don't know all the ingredients. I just know that it really works and I feel good. Or I just whatever, right? And it was as soon as it all became cookie cutter is when it becomes harder or becomes scripted. And I think like in your case you're talking about goals, and it's like as soon as goals become cookie cutter, as soon as it's like you got to contact this many people, whatever. Again, I don't want to get on a high horse, but when you start to like put it all in these perimeters, like in a box, once it's inside a box, first of all, it's not fun anymore. So you don't want to do things that aren't fun. Like, why are you doing it if it's not fun? Especially if you're in an industry that they promote fun and freedom, right?
Yeah.
So that's not fun. And so yeah, like if you can keep it where it feels natural and has a flow, like a new relationship, there's nothing cooler than a new relationship.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Some people are scared to admit that because you're in a relationship that's not new anymore, and you're like, I probably shouldn't admit that, but dude, like, who doesn't love a new relationship? Like that's dope. Like that's badass, right? Like I'm smiling because I love new relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fun, and they're because there's like the unknown, and it's just fun, and so that is a good place to be. That's a good place to flow. So I know exactly what you mean by that. I'm agreeing with you. I totally agree. I love what you said about, even if you are setting goals, do not break those down into micro goals, because and I've always been taught the exact opposite. Like, oh my
Yeah. Of
gosh,
course.
your goal's 120 this year. Perfect. What does it need to be a month? Okay, perfect. What's it need to be a week? Perfect. Now what do you need to do per hour? If you could do this per hour, imagine where you'll be in 12 months, right? Like, no, in the next hour, I'm actually going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to drink this water. Like, how can I do all that in the next hour?
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of pressure. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind, because we don't have to be talking about business. We happen to be talking about inadvertently, we're talking about business right now. But Joe Blow that might be listening right now, I love you, Joe Blow, but like you may be just talking about life. Like, take the pressures off your life too. You can take some pressure off your life. Just get to where you want to be. Do it free. Do it with love. Do it organically.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
Yeah. Let it flow. Like totally off topic,
Sure.
but kind of on topic too, when you're like, I love new relationships. So how long have you and Anna been together?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, almost 2 years. In that 2 years, how many times have you felt that you or her have changed as a person?
I think a bunch. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think a bunch.
Yeah. And so the reason that your relationship is working is because you're choosing to continue to fall in love with that person that she is evolving into, but she's also choosing to love the person that you are evolving into. And
Mhm.
so Mason and I, we haven't been together for very long in terms of, you know, long relationships. We've been together 5 years. And we have a 4-year-old, you do the math. But um, one thing that makes our relationship work is, again, I had a lot of like fear around marriage because I watched my dad is married for the third time. My mom is married for the second time. And out of the 5 marriages, they've not been right one single time. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I'm like, and then I watch other people that have been married forever and ever, and they're married forever and ever, but they should just be divorced.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so he has really loved me through all of this apprehension because we got pregnant before we got married. I was like, we don't have to get married. We can have it. He was like, no, we getting married. And so he has really loved me through all my apprehension. But finally, like one day I had this light bulb moment that just did away with all of that apprehension. And it was from doing my personal development and things like that and I do a lot of psychology research. I love to understand why people are the way that they are. And I'm even going through coaching right now. Anyways. So I'm going through personal development about marriages and relationships and why people that were married for 20 something years get a divorce. And the main reason is like at the end of it, they don't even know who they're married to anymore.
Mm.
And so those new relationships are fun, but that can be your marriage. Your marriage
Yeah.
can be the constant new relationship because as humans, we change and we evolve. And if you're not, open your mind a little bit, please.
Right.
Just a little bit. Go go read something that supports an opposing thought to yours. It's
Hmm.
good for you, I promise. But we're always constantly changing and evolving. And we made a promise one day, I'll never forget it. Riding down the road, I looked at him and I said, do you promise to love me and date me and grow with me no matter what I grow into? And he looked at me and was like, of course. And I was like, do you promise to grow with me? Because I'm not going to stop. And he was like, of course. And so our marriage really is like new relationships, because he's growing and he's developing and I'm growing and I'm developing. And like, just to give you a tangible example, when Mason and I first got together, he was very like, I am going to work this 9 to 5, which was really a fucking 6:30 to 8:30 every day. Put money in my 401k. I'm going to retire at this age. I am just going to work for the man forever and ever. I'm not taking any risk on business. Guess who has a successful fee for service business? Guess who's an entrepreneur? Guess whose mind is constantly churning about reinvesting into other businesses?
Wow.
Like, you go from this person that is like, I will never be an entrepreneur and risk my money for something that will fail, to someone that has an uber successful business and is like, what's the next entrepreneur endeavor? Because I'm about to retire right now.
Wow.
And so people do change, and you can't keep it fresh and keep it new and grow together. But it's that commitment to date that person that they're growing into.
That's so powerful. A commitment to date the person that they're growing into. I think that says so much. Real quick, what was the shift for him to grow into it? And I'm talking business wise. Where do you think he went from just that safety, playing it safe, okay, like the 9 to 5 type, even though it was like, whatever, 6:30 to 8:30. Like, where do you think he shifted into like, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business builder? Like, he obviously saw vision. Where did that shift happen?
It started with me. I even remember when I first started with all of this, he would be like, would you stop? Could you not? Like, so he saw me go and grind it out. And at 25, I'd never owned a new car in my life, bought a brand new car. He was like, this is what your note's going to be. I'm like, I don't care. When I think the big tell is when we did our taxes after like that second year of me being in business, because we've kept our money separate ever since I have made my own money. If you want to keep your money separate from your spouse, I think that's okay. I think that having an agreement on what you're going to share bill wise is good, and having one savings account for things like refrigerators, vacations, broke down cars, I hope that you never have, is good. But everything else, and some of y'all are thinking like, God dang, that's both of our incomes, is just the first, just paying the damn bills. But
Right.
it won't always be that way, I promise.
Yeah.
And then have your money separately. And I knew that I wanted to have my money separately from him because he's tight and I'm not, and so we did our taxes and he was like, you made what? I was like, that's what I claimed. And he was like, we're paying someone's salary and taxes right now. I was like, it's fine. I got it. I got it. Here's the pay the taxes. And he was like, you mean to tell me this is what you've been doing this whole time? I was like, yeah, this is what I've been doing. And you mean to tell me you go eat lunch whenever you want and dick around and shop at Target at 10:30 on a Thursday? Yeah, me and Max, we're cooling it, baby.
Right.
And then when it got to a point where, and you can judge me for this, I don't care. My child got to be a toddler and I couldn't do 24/7 toddler care. So I wanted to put him in school. He could tell me if something was going on. So I started paying for school. And Mason was like, so not only are you not taking care of our kid 24/7, now the dicking around has increased. And I'm like, yeah, it has. And so, I'm riding around a new car and toting the Louis Vuitton handbag, and none of it's come out of his pocket. And he's like, is this for real? I'm like, this is for real. And I can help you. Like, I can handle, pick something that you want to do that you can start right now, low overhead, and that is within your realm of time commitment. I'll market it. I'll sell it. I don't care. So he started with staining fences. We had a stain gun. You just
Yeah.
spray the stain. And so it went from just staining new fences to staining and pressure washing fences, and then staining and pressure washing other wooden things, to now we have employees. And now it's like, okay, well, what do we want to do next? Do we want to build fences, which is one thing that we're thinking about. And I'm an advocate for that, but he's like, oh, I don't really want to do that. And so when he saw, I think when he really caught it was when one month his little business that he was doing on the side brought us like $3,000 extra one month. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but $500 extra a month, statistically, there's always people that fall into that and don't fall out.
Mm-hmm.
$500 a month for a single family is the difference between paying all your bills and filing bankruptcy. $500. That's it. And so the first time that he saw that money come in, he was like, hold on. Is this really happening? I'm like, this is really happening. You can do this. You don't have to live inside of those parameters. And so now he's just itching to be like, he loves his job and they take amazing care of us. But when the pressures of working for someone else and the pressures of working for yourself, you would rather take the pressures of working for yourself, because it's not like one's pressure free. It's definitely not.
Just different. Yeah.
It's just different, because you can't control the way your boss is going to react to what you did or didn't do, or that you tried and got wrong, and the money that you lose the company, versus when you fuck up in your own business, you just lost your own money.
Right.
Which sucks, but you're not going to cuss yourself out. I mean, maybe you might, I don't know. But you're like, okay, well, I'll fix this. And you don't feel the pressures of letting someone else down.
For sure. Yeah, totally different kind. And in my opinion, like also just the amount of like just the I don't want to say gratification, but just the feeling of accomplishment, when
Yeah,
you do
that's
for
true.
you, like you're doing for your family. You're truly doing for your family, that's powerful when you can do something like truly for you.
Yeah. And it was funny to watch how our life transformed from, okay, what can we do with this paycheck, to anytime we buy anything, we measure it in fences. Okay, well, we want to, like, we bought, have you ever heard of Love Sacks?
Yeah. Like the real the love sacks, like the brand.
Yes.
Yes.
So we bought the Love Sacks with the speakers that are inside the
Oh
couches.
yeah.
We are movie buffs. We are
Okay.
movie people. And when we bought it, we were like, this is X amount of fences. and so it's so nice to have that, where you can do what you want.
For sure. Hey, and also like so I always say like the Chazway stands, like my brand stands for three things, right? So it's just reminding people that they're worthy of great things, right? And you could take your life from average to extra above average, right? Extraordinary. And then also just always the reminder that I'm always here for people. Like that's the third thing. But so just to like quickly like refocus exactly where we're talking about, like this isn't Kaylee's story. This isn't Chaz's story. Like this is your story. You can go tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow, well, okay, you're going to hear this on Friday. So Saturday, you could absolutely go to a garage sale and you can find a used power washer and you can go power wash some fences.
Yeah.
And you can change your future from broke and miserable to extraordinary, from can't pay your bills to $500 extra in your pocket that might pay your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, your insurance, your cell phone, whatever it is that might be the difference, like Kaylee said, of maybe filing bankruptcy. it's just a decision. Like, listen, I'm not going to preach to you. It's your decision. That's all it is a decision. Like I was not going in this direction, but all I did is simply ask, like, hey, what did Mason do different? Like, what did he choose to do to take him from wanting to be a 9 to 5, play it safe guy, to like loving, controlling his future? He made a decision. What could I do? You actually did it. You kind of opened the possibilities for him. Like, what can we do with what we have? Low overhead. Well, we have a sprayer. Cool. We know how to spray fences. Cool. Like, and then the option, like, then you really can start broadening. You can get more creative. And in this case, that was the route you guys took. There's a million other routes. I was listening to a podcast just yesterday, and this guy's like, at 10 years old, I found some spray paint and a little, I made a little, he said he made a little template out of cardboard. And in his neighborhood, he just started going, you hear these stories all the time. He started going through the neighborhood and knocking on doors and said, hey, and this is, 20 years ago. He said, hey, I noticed that like your address is really like kind of worn out on the curb. Would you mind if I spray it? It's $8 and I can just respray and touch up so that your address is well marked on your curb. He said, I charged $8. They always gave me 10 and $2 was a tip, quote unquote. He said, I was 9 and 10 years old and I was making over $200 a week. That's a lot of money at 9 and 10 years old. Like, all the dude did was get some spray paint and a piece of cardboard. It's just a decision if you want to change your life, right? So I feel like it's so common for people to like get comfortable in the uncomfort of broke or unhappy. It's simply a decision. And I'm going to tell you one thing. It feels really good to change the decision. Really good. Really good. It's freeing.
And I love that you brought that up because I had never thought about Mason's origin story ever. Like, I've never thought about it. It was just kind of this thing that we did that grew. And so we literally started our business by Mason had bought the sprayer just to spray our fence. And it was like $150 for the sprayer. And I think maybe $200 worth of stain. He was like, oh, I can do this for money. Like, there are people with, so we started our first business with what, $150, $350, and I think a $30 Facebook ad. Like, we started a page that had no post on it. And just so we could buy an ad, $30 Facebook ad. He got enough fences for us to buy these little door hangers.
Wow.
That is not our fence. This is a Google image. Okay. And so we literally ripped a Google image. Sorry if this is illegal. If it's illegal, don't do it. If it's fine, whatever. Took a Google image, bought $100 worth of these damn door hangers. And I have pictures of us pulling Maddox in the wagon and me and him just walking around, hanging door hangers. And I mean, then the Facebook page builds because you have testimonials and then you have more money for ads and, then, and it just grows. And it was exactly what you said. Like, it literally started with $250 and an iPhone picture of our fucking fence.
Yes.
And now it's this thing.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that. I think that is a great reminder. That you can do anything. Like, you really, really, truly can. What are you, so you're coaching, are you like, you guys can find Kaylee, by the way, on Instagram at Hello Ambition is like the tag. So I always post this stuff in the details, like in the description, but you can find her, by the way. She's got a great Instagram page, but hey, so are you coaching people with, is that something that you're passionate about, is coaching in this manifestation space?
Yeah, I do. I do one-on-one coaching with people. That's really the thing that I'm passionate about because I love doing this, and you can obviously tell I like to talk. So that's the thing that I'm passionate about. I do have an application that you can fill out, but not tooting my own horn and saying I'm so amazing, but my schedule is full. And when my clients are done with their sessions, they always have first dibs on re-ups and they keep buying more. So,
Great.
I don't have any openings right now. But if you go to Hello Ambition on Instagram, I have a link tree on there. You can I have free stuff. You can get my free stuff. I have a couple of very basic courses. They're like $27. You don't have to buy them. They're on YouTube for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not holding any secrets. This is for everybody. But I'm doing coaching because that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I want to do. And I'm in the season of life of like, I've built Mason's business up to where I could just fulfill passion, and buy what I want. And that's enough for me right now and enough for us right now. And so eventually I'll expand into more courses and, offer more because I want to be that person that gives people the value that they need. But yeah, my clients are my clients.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome. So it's April, middle of April 2022. You're a mom to your little man, Max. Is Max? Is it Maximus? Is it Max? Is it what's his
no,
full name?
his real name is Maddox.
Oh,
We named him
okay.
after Greg Maddox, but I call him all of those things.
Okay. What's his what do you call him on the regular?
Max.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And so he's 4. What's he into?
So right now he's into baseball because we started
Okay.
baseball.
Okay.
He's into the garden. We started a garden.
Oh yeah, okay. I saw the pictures.
He's about the garden life. But mostly, we're movie buffs, but also game nerds. He's into like the 80s video games.
Okay. That's smart kid,
So
smart kid.
yeah, so we have like an arcade because, you know, bottom stuff, I guess. So he has an arcade in his room with like
Okay.
Galaga, Pac-Man, Dig Dug. Um, what are some
Donkey Kong.
Rolling Thunder. So Donkey Kong's not on there, but he does have a an old Super Mario.
Okay.
That is Donkey Kong, Super Mario Brothers. What's the Kirby?
Oh yeah.
So that's his jam.
Okay.
So that's what
That's
he's
awesome.
into. But it's funny that you bring him up because I tell people all the time he's an old man. Like,
Yeah.
yes. And so he just says stuff all the time, and your kids are paying attention. And when he was young, we started with affirmations. You are smart, you are brave, you are strong, you are tough, you are encouraging, you're inspiring, you are amazing, you are enough, you are worthy. We're walking through Target and he runs away from me. And I said, Maddox, get over here. And he was like, why are you yelling at me? I was like, because someone can snatch you up and take you and make you their kid. He said, don't worry, Mom. I am strong and I am tough. I was like, yes, but no. Yes,
Yes, you
but
are. Now stay right here.
yes, but no. Yes, but
Right.
no. And I'm
They
like, what do you even say?
mm, thank you, God. They are listening. They are always listening. And it's no matter what their age is, it's crazy. My son's 15 and a half, and yeah, they're always listening. It's cool. I think not to get too far on the kid stuff, but I will say they're always paying attention, and just to always remember that, because you make a humongous impact on your kid's life. One of the things I've come to grips with, and it's taken me a long time, is like I can only be the best parent I know how to be.
Mhm.
And like I only know how to be me. Like I didn't grow up with a dad. I've been a single dad since 2013. I'm really blessed to have Anna in my life, but like I've always done it on my own, and I only knew how to do what I've known how to do. So it's not perfect because nobody is, and so you just do the way you know how to do it. And the reality is, like, if I can just always make sure I'm making the best impact possible, because again, they are always paying attention. So um it's cool. Affirmations are huge. Like I never really made quote unquote Braxton do affirmations, but he's always watched me. That's another thing I'm thankful for with being in the network space is I really took some really great habits for several years. And I'm really glad he got to be a part of that, and some cool vacations too that that I got to get through that industry as well. So, so I started to bring up, I asked about him, but I also started to bring up, like, here it is, middle of April 2022. You're planting gardens, you're rolling around. You still have your Jeep?
So I still have the Jeep.
Okay.
But more recently, we have tossed around getting rid of it.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
For the record, hey, for the record, I don't stalk you, but you do post sometimes stories like in the Jeep.
all the time.
I'm like, if she might think I stalk her, I do not stalk you.
No. I get that for sure. I don't think you stalk me at all. A lot of my life is on there. And if the weather's nice, we're in the Jeep. Like, we bought the Jeep last October. I don't think the tops and door combined, the top and doors may have been on the Jeep for maybe 4 weeks combined since we bought it in October.
Gotcha.
So, like, if the sun is out, we're in it. We love it.
That's funny. Okay, so yeah, so you got the Jeep, you're at the gym all the time. Now you're doing the garden, which is awesome. So not me whatsoever. There's nothing about the garden that sounds fun to me, but I'm glad I can cheer you guys on from
live
Oklahoma.
Vicariously.
Absolutely. I will be your cheerleader. I'll be like, grow plants, grow. I think I saw you guys were going like some tomatoes and some this and that. And like, hey, get it, girl. That's awesome. But like, let's get real for a minute. What is going to be the best Kaylee Fisher life for the rest of 2022? What's going to fill your cup? Like the smile you have on your face right this second. What fills your cup and brings you the most joy throughout the rest of this year? True deep answer
would be like the healthiest pregnancy ever, would just absolutely, and the healthiest baby ever would just make me so happy. That would be the thing that like would just wrap this little bow around my world. And I have to say, like, I'm pretty materialistic. Like, I like to have things. And so I have always wanted an Escalade. I don't know why. So maybe one of those. I haven't test drove one yet, and I'm definitely a snob when it comes to rides, which is funny because the Jeep, but I usually drive Mason's really nice truck that is the best ride ever. So maybe an Escalade. I don't know. It's not something that I'm like totally addicted to, but I think that's how I do most things in my life. Traveling, because we're taking our first international trip with Maddox.
Wow.
And so maybe one more before the year's out.
Cool.
That would make me so happy. I'd like to see, I'm big on releasing people from obligations that they don't want to fulfill. Like with my clients, I have some that are ready to quit their job. And if they do that before the end of the year, I'll be like, yes.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so good. So releasing people, and I can't do it. I can only encourage and assist. Releasing people from the obligations that they no longer want to fulfill, because I want people to live this life where, and this may give people anxiety, but like, I'm at a place where I can truly live by the seat of my pants. And it's the best. It's so fun. Like, and I'm usually a planner. Like, I plan everything, but now where I am, and I'm like, let's just do what we want. Woo! So, as far as like things throughout the end of the year, we're pretty booked. Like things are already kind of set. But I will tell you, like, things that would make. Can I give you my 5-year? Like, what would make the happiest Kaylee Fisher in 5 years? I'd love to do a whole weekend at the Masters with my husband and my son and my dad.
Okay.
Like the whole weekend, not just one day, the whole thing, all 4 of us. Like, that would absolutely set my heart on fire. I would love that so much.
Are you all golfers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you some pictures of Maddox.
Okay.
Maddox is a lefty. He's been golfing since he was like 2.5.
That's crazy. That is so cool.
And
Okay.
people are
So
like 2.5, they can't do it.
yes,
Give
they
them
can.
let them watch you and put a club in their hand. He swung a right-handed club left-handed for like the first year of his life because we were like, is this really even gonna stick? They will figure it out.
Yeah. I don't golf. It's not my thing, but I will say two things. One is I admire the sport. The second thing I'll say is that I totally believe young people can do it, and I also think that it is incredibly smart for to put that into young people's hands,
Yeah.
because I mean, success leaves clues, and I can give you a handful of very successful young people or people that started young, and I also know of a lot of very very wealthy people that made a lot of wealth standing on the golf course having conversations.
Yes.
So there's that too.
Yeah. And so we're all golfers. Another thing that would make me happy is I went to school to be a teacher, so I have a heart for teachers. I want to be able to go to the school board and be like, here's a blank check, fill all of their classrooms,
Wow.
get a list of what they all need and put it in their classrooms. Cause I am
Mhm.
so sick of teachers having to come out of their number one, they're not paid enough.
Yes.
Um, I'm not sure as one person I could do anything about that. But number two, why in the fuck are they having to fill their own classrooms with
Yeah.
stuff? Like,
That blows
especially
my mind.
where we live, our property tax is outrageous.
Mm.
It should be, instead of building more and more schools, because our schools are still new, fill their classrooms, you know? So that would make me happy. Um, Having things set up to where I could send my nieces to school, to college would make me happy.
Mm.
I had to earn my way through college with sports. My brother had to work his way through college. My sister didn't get to finish because money, like she had bills to pay. And so if I have something set up that's generating and growing in a way that would send them to school, like that would set my soul on fire. Um, so those are things, of course, with weightlifting and stuff. I have some like lofty goals. So I would love to win a show. But as far as strength goes, I'd love to deadlift 400 pounds.
All right.
I would love to squat close to 400. My goal right now is like 350.
Mm.
um and I would love to bench press 245. That would make me happy, which is weird. All my bodybuilders are like, no, don't do it. You're gonna have to be so fluffy.
Oh,
But there's a season in between this, 5-year gap for all of
sure.
that. But those are the things that ride on my heart right now is, having that lifetime experience with my dad, my son, and my husband. And then, helping teachers out, but also sending the girls or having it, they won't be college ready at all in 5 years, but actually, my oldest niece will.
Wow. Where are they in Georgia?
Yeah, they're all in
Okay.
Georgia.
Gotcha.
And so
What dang, I was gonna ask you something. What is your dad in Georgia or
my
like
my whole
everybody's
family, the whole family. I'm the only one here.
okay. Oh, I don't know. I was gonna ask you, Jim, do you go? So I know that lifting is kind of your thing. Are you much more into lifting than like cardio stuff? Like lifting's kind of your passion?
Yeah, lifting is definitely my passion. I do cardio. I do low intensity steady state cardio. So I walk for, 20 to 25 minutes every day. Prepping for a show, when you get closer, you're closer to like 60
Mm,
minutes a day, just lots of low intensity steady state cardio. But it's kind of like the necessary evil in my eyes. My
gotcha.
husband is like, I'm not doing cardio. I'll just lift weights faster. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So that was the other thing I was gonna ask you. So do you guys do a lot of the gym stuff together? I mean, or I do you get to do a lot together when it comes to the gym?
Oh, like, do we work out together?
Yeah, like do you get to? I know it appears that you both enjoy the gym, but do you get to actually go together or?
We don't go together often. Our gym doesn't have a daycare, which is fine because we chose the gym we chose for certain reasons.
Uh-huh.
And if we have to sacrifice that, that's fine. I'm a morning goer. He needs more food than I do. So he's afternoon at lunch or evening time. And even if we do go together, very rarely do we live together because our splits are so different.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Oh, so like your workout splits are like, for me, I'll do chest, shoulders, and triceps all in one. So his split will be just chest and triceps. He has a day just for shoulders. Mm. And so our leg splits are completely different too. So it just means like the way that we split up our muscle groups is different. So but even if we were going on a day, like say our leg day fell on the same day, we're not going to do the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally get it. I personally, the gym I could have a whole podcast on my feelings about the gym. Like I have a whole different relationship with the gym. I personally prefer to go alone myself. So like I'd rather put headphones on, listen to what I want to listen to, and just get in my own routine. So
yeah. And I will say, I do better when I go by myself, but just as an experiment, try it out one time when you're in a really good mood. Don't do it when you're already struggling to be there or in a bad mood. Go without your headphones.
Really?
So the gym I work out at now is we have a really loud speaker. People can hook up their own music. The gym I worked at before, I only ever wore my headphones. Number one, I don't want to talk to anybody. Number two, I didn't want to listen to T Swift while I was, deadlifting 315 pounds.
Yeah.
Just, I'm over here ruining my life. Just kidding. But I didn't want to hear Taylor Swift or, the Beach Boys or whatever. So I always wore my headphones. Well, when we moved to the new gym, shout out Scarlet Barbell, if you're in New Caney, Texas, or in Mont Belvieu, Baytown area of Texas. Hope you don't mind. Got to give my folks a shout out.
Yeah.
Plug. But when I started going there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little social experiment. Because again, I love to think about the way our brains work. When I would wear my headphones at the gym and I have the noise canceling big headphones and played my music, I did my best thinking ever. Best thinking ever. Best content ideas, best coaching ideas, best realizations. Like I felt like I was always in gamma brain state, where your brain waves are moving so fast that you're having all these amazing realizations when I wore my own headphones and it was just me and my body and my workout. When I started at this new gym, there will be days where I don't wear my headphones. And there will be times where I'm like, I can't think about anything. I am so distracted. Let me shut my door. Boys just logged in. Gotcha. I'm so distracted. I'm attuned to everybody else and what they're doing. And, I'm not in that gamma state. And it just goes to prove like people can feel the energy that you bring into a place. Mm-hmm. So when it's just you and your energy, you're going to be way more aligned, mm-hmm. right? When it's you and everybody else's energy, you may have some good, you may have some bad, you may have some distraction, you may have some this, that, and the other. But take note of the way that you think when it's just you and your headphones. Mm-hmm. And then go one day when you're in a really good mood, and you have to be in a really good mood, and go without the headphones and take note of how you think.
Interesting. So, okay. Yeah, I totally will do that. I just moved to a new gym, and so I have not developed an opinion yet or a feel. Like it's very, very new to me. So that'll be interesting to get a vibe. So
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, so as we wrap things up, let me nail you with a couple more questions. First of all, are you reading anything currently?
Yes.
What are you reading?
So I read two things at once. I read a personal development book and I would rather read than watch TV. So I read fantasy books.
Okay.
So, Currently, Rich as Fuck, Amanda Francis, second time through. Love, love, love this book.
Okay.
Fantasy wise, I'm reading the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas.
Okay, cool. I'll put those in the description too. I always like to put books like a link, so if people want to buy them or
Well,
check them out.
the second one is not personal development in
No, I
any.
got you. It's a
Okay.
fantasy. It's okay. It doesn't matter. People
Okay.
might want to check them out. That's cool.
Okay.
Okay, so repeat them again one more time. So the first one is Rich as Fuck by Amanda Francis.
Yeah.
What's that second one?
The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, Maas.
Okay, cool. I will I'll look into those and I'll drop them in the description for sure. So those are what you're reading. What is the most powerful, besides the Bible, what's the most powerful personal development book for you that's impacted your life?
Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill.
3 weeks in a row. That's been the answer.
Shut up.
Dead serious. And you know what's funny? I just messaged this guy. I commented. He posted that he's rereading it right now, and I'm reading this particular guy wrote a book called Unfuck Yourself or Unfuck Your Business, I think it's called. I'm reading it. It's Thomas Keenan. He's out of Dallas. I'm reading his book right now on Audible, and he just happened to post the other day that he's reading Unwitting the Devil, which was the second personal development book I ever read. And so I messaged him and I said, as soon as I finish your book, I'm going to reread Outwitting the Devil because it's been almost 5 years since I read it. But I mean, I think that if I read it now, I'll have such a different. I was a baby. I was a baby to personal development then.
I read it once a year and it's different every single time. I'm talking about like the Bible is definitely a book that as you read it, it reflects who you are and where you are in life 100%. You can read the same passage once a month and it will mean something different to you every. This book is not the Bible. It is not the Bible. But
absolutely.
Very rarely do you find these books that shift and change with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them.
Yeah. And I hadn't of course it comes up in conversation. People often talk about that as a recommendation. Outwitting the Devil. It's Napoleon Hill. A great book for anybody who wants to read it. And I'll put that in the description again this week. I put it in last week's too. It is a great book, but I hadn't really thought about the fact that it's been so long since I read it and where my mind would be today versus 5 years ago when I read it. Again, not only was I a baby to personal development, but I hadn't really been reading with a reader's mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's a dense book. Like the first time you read it, you're kind of like, what?
Yeah. So do you read it Audible or do you read a hard copy of it?
No, I have to have hard. If I'm going to read something and study it, I need a hard copy.
You do?
Yeah, I can't do Audible at all.
Okay. So I do 90% of my books are Audible. It's just what works for me. There are books that I can only do a hard copy because I really need to get in and just dive in. I need to mark them up. I need to physically look at it, dog ear some pages. Outwitting the Devil, I read Audible. Have you ever read it Audible ever?
Yes.
Is it not trippy because of the context of that book? The Audible, and I've only done it Audible. It's a trippy book to hear the Audible version of that book, just based on the content,
Yes, I would agree with that. Are you an auditory learner?
Yeah, I feel like I am. I mean, Audible. Yeah, I feel like I am. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm visual for sure.
I mean, I hesitate to answer that because I need to see things, but to be honest, I learn. The best learning for me is to be hands-on on anything.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
I think that's the answer for probably most people, but yeah, it's hard to say. I actually probably lean more towards visual, but when it comes to anything reading wise, I feel like I listen. I think Audible is really more my jam. I think if I sit down and read something on paper, the Bible's one, I haven't read all the way through the Bible, but every time I do pick up the Bible, I start to read it and then I get frustrated with myself because then I feel like I'll get a few pages in and then I get frustrated because I didn't retain it that much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man, I don't feel like I don't feel like I retained as much as I want to. And I kind of get discouraged. So I've got to I either need to give myself more grace and just let whatever's supposed to be received will be received. I've got to find a middle ground so that I don't beat myself up about it, but.
Hey, can I ask you a real quick question before we leave?
Yeah.
This is for my own person brain study that I
Yeah.
do. So like you mentioned that you didn't really have a dad in your life. How do you think that has impacted you as a father?
So now you'll really get into my emotions, and it's funny because my son just walked up to the window. He must
Oh,
be.
you don't have to answer. If you need to go, go,
Oh
go, go.
no, I don't have to go. He just funny, ironic timing because he's standing right there. No, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Bye. He goes right back out the door. You're okay. He goes, oh, are you off? He opens the door because he saw me talking about him. No, so how has it impacted me as a dad? Is that your question?
Yeah.
So there's not like a crazy dramatic story. My mom and my dad like separated when I was a little kid. I met my dad once when I was 6. My mom and dad separated like I don't even know that they were together to be honest with you. And there's no bad story. Like basically my mom gave my dad an option, like you can be involved or not. I guess he chose not. And so
I guess he chose not. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, I mean, clearly.
I guess he
So
chose
then like, but we lived in San Diego. That's where I'm from. And then I think they must have either I don't know if they like got back in contact or maybe stayed in contact. But when I was 6, I met him once, like very casual, and that was the only time I met him. And that's the end of it. Like that's all there was to it. I grew up. My mom and I are super close, so that was never a struggle. I'm giving you a long story for a reason. I never like I really didn't know the difference. It didn't bother me. I've always grown up grateful for the relationship I had with my mom. As I became a teenager, I would tell people, like when I met single moms and stuff, like I would always say, hey, like it's okay because like I'm so close with my mom, and I really believe that's because I just had my mom. So I would always try and encourage single moms, like it's okay, like you can have a great relationship with your child, you know. And I was 20 years old, and there was a day, I don't know why, I don't know the day, I just remember it happened, and I was like, this motherfucker, like there is a guy out there that completely like did not give a shit. And I don't know why it impacted me at 20 years old, but there was just this random day, and I was like, I probably was struggling, if I'm being honest, probably financially, and if I'm being like really, really honest. And I was like, some dude like did not give a shit about his kid, and here I am like trying to figure out my life, and there's this guy that like did not take any responsibility, you know. And that was when it like kind of frustrated me that I never had a dad. And that's the extent of it. Now, are there some psychological struggles? Probably yes. Like, do I think there are some things that go along with it? Sure. To answer your question, my son is my world. Like I never missed an appointment when my son's mom was pregnant. We never missed an appointment. I never missed an appointment. I vowed to be the best dad I could ever be. I knew he was going to be a boy. I know people think that's crazy. I knew we were sitting at the appointment getting ready to go in for the ultrasound. I told Rachel, is his mom's name. I told her in the lobby, I was like, you know, it's a boy. And she's like, and she already had 2 girls, and she kind of thought too, because it felt different, you know. She's like, yeah, it might be. I was like, I'm just telling you, like it's a boy, you know. I knew he was a boy. And I knew I'd be the best dad I could ever possibly be. Like I knew that. And people ask me a lot, like, how weird that you're such a hands-on dad not having a dad. And my answer to that, I know I'm making this long, is my answer, I think, is because I think I could have gone 2 different ways. I could have been the neglecting dad because it's all I knew, because I'm a believer you're a product of what you know. But for me, because I didn't have it, I think that's why I fought so hard to be the best dad I could be. I've had full custody since 2013. That's not common at all. And his mom's not a deadbeat. She just loves different. And I was able to be a more hands-on dad. So I am.
I mean, and you nailed my point. And I ask anybody that's open to talking about it, like people that have alcoholic parents, parents that abuse drugs, absent parents, you know, I always ask them the same question, like, how do you feel like that impacted you? Because you nailed it. I mean, you're going to go 2 ways.
Mhm.
Just like it because this is
That's
what
what you know.
happened to me. So this is what I must perpetuate, or this is what happened to me. And I swear to God, I'll never fucking do it.
Yep. Absolutely. And I can't, I have to be honest, I can't take responsibility for that. I have to give all the credit to God because I I don't know that I knew the difference. I don't know that I don't know there was a day where I was like, I can go one way or the other. I just knew that I just knew that I wanted to be the best dad I could be. I just knew that. And probably because I never had it. And that's painful sometimes, you know?
Yeah. That's like, I grew up with a mom that was not sober. And so I will not do things that will put me in a position to where I'm addicted to not being sober.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And you could have gone the opposite of that. But you know what? Some of the greatest stories, some of the best testimony you ever hear are the people that chose to go the opposite route. And not, I mean, in your, like in, I've heard so many stories of that. And then of course dads or moms too. Like, I mean, everybody's testimony is powerful, right? But like I meet so many people that have a really, really heavy testimony, and it's because they've gone through some really rough stuff, and they just, God blessed them with a desire and a strength to be like, I just don't want to be that, you know?
I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I
And
lived through that. There's no way I could ever do that.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's awesome. I'm so thankful, you know, and that's why I said earlier, like, I can only be the best dad I know how to be. I don't even know how I know how to be. Like, that's why I said I can't take the credit for it. Like, I just feel super blessed and super thankful that that I've been given the desire. I mean, it is my priority since before he was born, since I knew he was going to be here on this earth. It's been my priority every single day of my life. I've never known love like I never knew unconditional love until you have a child. At least that's my experience. I can only speak for me. Like, it's a different kind of love when you experience it with a child, you know?
Yes.
So it's just crazy. Yeah. But I'm so thankful, you know, he's my dude. He's my world, you know? So anyways, yeah, that's it. So, hey, I really appreciate you. Before we wrap up, I would just ask you one last thing. I mean, I heard about books and I heard about your life, and I mean, so many powerful things. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, I'm long-winded. Sorry.
No, I'm long-winded. So first of all, don't apologize. You don't ever have to apologize. But secondly, I love that because it's good to just have conversation. It's good banter, you know. So pardon me. So, but as we wrap up, if you were going to leave one gift for our listeners, if you were going to leave one gift as a person of strength and as of good character and a good wife and a good mom and somebody who believes so strongly in personal development and manifestation, what would be one gift, one thing that you could package up to leave somebody with that would give them some value to take with them? What would it be?
The amount of peace you have in your life is a decision. It doesn't matter if you are dead broke or if you are a millionaire. You get to decide how much you allow outside influences disturb you. And this is coming from somebody that is a mad motherfucker. Like, I will get mad. But I know that that's a decision. And I also know when to decide to be like, okay, that's enough. And sometimes there's some days where I'm like, oof, I don't even feel like getting mad today. And it's a decision. So if something is disturbing your peace, you can stop it now if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like I should segue into one book pick for me, and that's The Energy Bus. That's a really good book. You know that book?
Funny story about, great book. Funny story about The Energy Bus. Yeah. Did you know a lot of Chick-fil-A's training comes from that book?
No, I had no clue.
Yeah, their customer service training, their checklist training, how they run, comes from that book.
No way.
Yep.
All right. So I think his name is something Gordon. I'm not going to get into my. You can. I'll drop that book actually in the description as well. The Energy Bus.
I have that book. I'm going to read it.
Yeah. It was one of my first books as well when I got into personal development. But it just talks about where you put your energy and it was just funny because you're like, I can be mad, but it takes, you know, what you just said, like, I mean, it's a choice, and that's just made me think like, I should talk about that book. So, yeah. Okay, cool. I cannot thank you enough for your time. And I really, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I said this to you before we got on the air, how much I appreciate your vulnerability and just being, I love that you're you know, social media. I've said this before. A lot of times when I have a guest on, I just love, you can look at social media from so many different areas. It's a humongous piece of my life. I feel like it's my connection to the world. I'm in Moore, Oklahoma, which is just the edge of Oklahoma City, Tornado Alley. And I'm, we're on 5 acres just outside of town. I'm in our home, this little podcast studio I'm building, or in the process of building, right? And I can feel as alone as I choose to be here, or I can feel as connected as I choose to be. I've done both, for the record, right? I have chose to live in my mind very alone, and I've also chose to feel very connected.
Do you
And
go through phases?
for sure. Oh yeah. And especially in network marketing, I have plenty of seasons of both, right? And but what I would say is I get so much joy from social media. And also, you choose that. Like, if it doesn't bring you joy, you get rid of it or change who you follow and watch. That's your choice. But for me, I stay connected with people that fill my cup, and I just love that opportunity to do that. And so I appreciate you, and I'm excited to like continue that friendship and stay connected for sure, and watch you grow. And I want to challenge you in a couple areas. One is keep shining, because I really value, like, you bring value to a lot of people. The
It's
other
so
thing,
funny because I'm so goofy on social media. It's so funny that you see it that way.
yeah, it's awesome. Like, it is goofy, but it's great that you can like go from like, I'm miserably leaving the gym to like, watch me plant these tomatoes. Like, it's real. Like, I love it. I love real, dude. I love real. I don't like highlight reels, and I don't like filters, but what people choose to do is great, because guess what? It's your social media. You can do whatever the heck you want, but I give credit where credit's due. The other thing is, I do want to challenge you, and I want to challenge you to, you have a great podcast, and I challenge you to find the niche that brings you joy in that. And if you choose, because if you don't, then don't. But if you find a space that fills your cup, I've said that a few times in this, to like pick that back up and run with it. I am not like, you have all this free time, right? but if you
Actually, I do.
well, if you choose to find a space where it fits and it fills your cup, even if you completely change your format, your direction, your whatever it is, whatever you feel like doing, if you feel it, do it. Because sometimes the things we do are not actually for us. They're for the people that need to be on the other end of it,
Yeah. And I needed to hear that. But like, I asked you about the, I can be as alone as I want to be, or as I can be as connected. And I was like, do you go through phases? Because like, I'm in the alone phase where I'm like,
it's really that, like, that's a very, very personal thing for me. Because, and here we go again, network marketing, but like, in that space, I have like my mentors were in a different state when I was in that industry. There have been times where I felt like I was so alone. Thank God for Zoom, right? But and then there were times where you go to these events and your cup's so filled, and then you go back to being alone again, or like maybe you're in the daily, like you're around, like maybe whatever, like, but sometimes you feel so on and you're so connected and you feel like you're grooving and you're moving and all, but then other times you're like, you don't, right? And so it's really cool that you're just, you're being very honest right now and saying like, you're in a time where you're not.
yeah.
And that's okay. Like, it's super okay. It's also okay to identify it and then adjust. So you've identified it, so now you just get to adjust, so
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I'm going to let you go. Thank you again for investing in me and in this podcast today.
Yeah,
I
thanks. I
appreciate
had
you.
a blast. You were
Good.
great.
Good. You're great too. So I'm going to let you go. Everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I am going to ask all of our friends to do me a favor. If you love it and you like it, share it, like it, love it, hit subscribe, screenshot it, tag me, tag Kaylee. You can find her at Hello Ambition. Don't forget all of the stuff and things will be in the description, and we'll see you again next time. So have a great day, guys, and we'll see you soon.